welcome back.
Hey.
That's a very nice jumper.
Thank you very much.
Matthias is in today and he has a really nice Christmas jumper as well.
Yeah, my dad is really into Christmas jumpers, so every year he just picks up a bunch.
Oh, I remember you saying this last year. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have a favorite Christmas jumper?
I'd say this is my favorite Christmas
It's
jumper,
nice.
honestly.
It suits you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you very much. It's a good scene, I think.
What's the scene of?
It's like a winter scene. They're going ice skating. Like,
Okay.
the whole thing going on. It's like
You were ice skating yesterday, weren't you?
I was.
What was that like?
It was really great. I haven't been ice skating this year, and I really wanted to go before Christmas.
Can you ice skate or no?
Like, I can. I've never fallen when I was ice skating.
Really?
Never ever. No. And I go every year.
That's pretty impressive.
I know. I'm pretty impressive.
I
can't do anything like special or anything. I just stay upright and go kind of slowly around the ice.
That's still pretty impressive. Because I remember when we were ice skating, when we were at Seek.
Oh, yeah.
We had to go and get dinner with a bunch of seminarians after.
We did, yeah.
I fell. But is there normally water on the ice?
No, there was a lot more water.
There was so much water on it.
We went in St. Louis, right? St. Louis?
Yeah.
And it was horribly watery. Like, I didn't go ice skating that day because I was like, I'm going to fall and I'm going to drown in the water on the ice, honestly.
Yeah,
but you were braver than I.
Yeah. But, I paid the price. I fell and I got really, really, I was just soaking wet.
Yeah, sometimes we have to live with the consequences of our actions, I guess.
Yeah. There's growth in discomfort.
There is.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
Well, welcome to our Christmas special. We've tried to decorate the studio up nicely. Mm-hmm. I think it looks cool.
It does. It looks great. I was impressed coming in.
Yeah, right. Because you've never been in this kind of studio.
Well, I've been in this studio.
No, this is a completely different studio.
I worked here.
Which is true. You did work here.
I did indeed. Yeah.
How was that experience for you?
I loved working here. It was really great. Really great. I worked here for more or less 2 years, I think. Yeah, and more or less 2 years with a little gap in the middle because I was doing an internship in college. But yeah, it was such a great place. I honestly loved working here. The people are amazing. Working with the staff, working with the volunteers. And yeah, it's really special to work somewhere where your faith is a central part of it and Our Lady is a central part of all of it. And yeah, being able to go to Mass during our working day is just such a gift. And there's just like a chapel right downstairs that you can stop in at the end of the day. Yeah. I just loved it.
Yeah. No, that's true. And Father Eamon's always around, so anytime you need some sort of direction, you need confession, it's just literally just downstairs.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And to knock on the door and he's free.
Yeah, for sure.
What was your favorite moment working here?
My favorite moment. Oh, that's so hard. There's so many great ones. I don't know if I have I used to co-host the Lectio Divina show. And
really?
Yeah, with Cara, who used to work here as well. And I just really, really loved that because, you know, when you're just you're on the same wavelength with somebody and when you're sharing your reflections, you're always on the same page. We just found that all the time. And it was just really special because you could really feel the presence of God in the show as well. And I just really loved that. But there's so many highlights, so many great memories here.
Would you do a proper Lectio doing it, or would you have to prepare beforehand? Because for me, it would be really hard to go live on air and to do a Lectio.
Usually we just did a Lectio right
really,
there. Yeah.
Okay.
Very rarely did we prepare it too much beforehand. We might read over it. Sometimes we didn't even read over it, just to and it was just what we felt the Holy Spirit was leading our attention to in the moment.
Cool.
But it was great. I loved it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. It's a bit like Encounter. We don't prepare anything.
Yeah.
But honestly, sometimes Thomas just starts the video without telling me and Cian.
Oh, really?
And so we'd be halfway through the conversation and we'll have no idea that the video started.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. But that's the reality of it, you know? You get real conversations.
That's it. Me and Cian learn every day.
Oh yeah, Cian. Great to have Cian here as well. He's a little pale today.
He's a little pale. And he's, I don't know, he doesn't have hair anymore as well. So just kind of,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's shocker.
It's been a turno. It's been a rough year, I guess.
We'll cover the hair. But you have just returned from Cork.
Correct, yeah.
What are you doing in Cork?
That's a great question. Right after I left Radio Maria, so the reason that I left Radio Maria was because I accepted a job as a focus missionary, and I think you've had some other focus missionaries on the show. but if anyone doesn't know what Focus is, it's the Fellowship of Catholic University Students, and they send missionaries to college campuses. And I have just started my first year in Cork, just finished my first semester, really. And yeah, so that's what I've been up to. I've been being a missionary, basically.
Gosh. But if you take a step back and tell us a bit about how you actually got involved with Focus.
For sure.
So, yeah, how did you decide that you wanted to be a missionary, but also what were the events that led up to that?
Yeah. So myself, like yourself, Dion, as you know, I went to UCD, and there's missionaries on our campus from the first year that I was in college. I actually met the missionaries on my campus before I'd even started in college. I knew a couple of them because some of our friends were already there, and I live really close by, so I'd come to events here and there. I was really impressed by them, and when I came to college, I got involved. I was in a Bible study from like the get-go, and was very involved from like the very start, and I loved it. I thought the missionaries were great, but I was always like, I would never do that myself. Like, fair play to them, but like, it's just not for me, you know? Which is funny in hindsight. But I remember, but people would often ask, as I know you experience as well, of like, oh, like, would you ever consider becoming a missionary? And like, if you're involved in like the Catholic society, like people ask it. And I was always like, no, absolutely not. Like, fair play, but no way. And I didn't really have like a really good reason for that. I just kind of had decided to say no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember there's one day I just had one of those conversations, and I went into the chapel and I was praying afterwards, and I just had this like really strong sense of like the Lord almost asking me like, why are you always saying no? And I like, it was a really striking moment, because I don't always have like super clear like moments like that where it really seems like that clear, but it felt very clear to me in that moment. And yeah, that was kind of later on in my college years. I was in third year probably, and then I was given the opportunity to go to Focus training as a babysitter. So they invite students to come along. They have their training in Austria for 2 or 3 weeks, and all the missionaries come together, and there's classes, there's time for fellowship, there's a lot of formation in that time. It's a really, really special time, and I got to go as a babysitter because some of the missionaries have kids. And really, that was where I was like, yeah, I have to apply. And not necessarily I have to be a missionary, but I have to apply. And I had a conversation with somebody, and they asked me if I was going to apply, and it just came out of my mouth, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to apply.
Wow.
And I hadn't even like fully like thought that I'd made that decision, but it just like came out, and I was like, oh, okay.
Sorry, wait, going back, it was the babysitting that changed your decision?
Yeah. Well, not changed, like I had already been considering it, and I kind of been like, oh, like maybe I'll apply as like a discernment exercise. But when you're there as a babysitter, you get to know all the missionaries. You get to see, you're living alongside these really amazing holy families who are like trying to raise their kids in the faith in this really beautiful way. And they're missionaries as well, like alongside that. And also you get to sit in on a few of the classes, and just, it's a really special time. It's actually a great opportunity that they give to students just to get a sense of like, what training is like. And also you're praying every single day, you're praying holy every single day, going to mass every single day, praying the rosary every single day. And so it's a really great time for like discernment as well. And yeah, so it was there that I really was like, hey, I'm going to apply. But I still wasn't like, I'm definitely going to do it if I get it. And yeah, that year I just found that every time I was like, not when I was planning for the next year, but when I was like kind of like absently like thinking about the next year, I'd always be like, oh, like when I'm a missionary, or I'm going to do this when I'm a missionary, and like all this kind of stuff. And I was like, what am I saying? Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know if this is the right thing or whatever. But just like at every step of the way, like I decided to apply. I got called for interview. At every step of the way, it just felt like taking the next step was the right thing. And there came a point where like, when I was given the offer to be a missionary, and I was like, had a few days to decide, I just had this really strong sense of like doing anything else was going to be settling for me, not like just for what I was being called to at that time. And it just was like, yeah. And so now here I am after my first semester. But
you were, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you were maybe a little skeptical, because it's like you'd become a missionary at this point, and it was like you had to be stationed at in some campus.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, has that skepticism kind of changed a bit?
I don't know if I was skeptical. I think I had a lot of like I loved UCD. Like, you know, I loved UCD, and like I still love UCD, and I had such an amazing opportunity to like be like just like I was formed so much by my time there. And it was we have such a special community there, and I just loved it there. And there was a possibility I could have been placed there as a missionary. And yeah, and I didn't get placed there. I got sent to Cork, and Cork was a new campus, and it was a whole new adventure, a whole new ballpark. And obviously there's like just like a level of like nervousness that comes along with that, because everything's new. Like, I lived in Dublin my whole life, and then was moving to a new city, moving to a new campus where they'd never had Focus before, so we really didn't know what to expect. We didn't know how we'd be received. We didn't know any of that.
Yeah,
and
because it's different for absolutely everybody. I was saying this to Sean earlier, like it's because it's not just like, let's say you were put into Dublin, like it's still the exact same thing in Dublin. The only thing is you're getting a new missionary. But it's still, the students are familiar with Focus missionaries. They're familiar with what they do.
Exactly.
And there are missionaries there that are going to be able to help the new missionary. But all of you have just been thrown into this new campus where Focus has never existed.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you have to this, you're making an impression for the first time.
Exactly. So like it's an amazing gift, because like we get to have a certain level of say in like how things are going to operate and things like that. But also it's like when you're going in blind, you don't know whether anyone's going to want to be involved, whether anyone's going to care, if it's going to be like not work, basically. I didn't think it wasn't going to work, but it's like you just don't know like how exactly you're going to be received. But it has been amazing, and it's been really, really special, and we've been received very, very well, which is a real gift. Because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know who would want to be involved and things like that.
What have the experiences been like with the students?
Oh, it's been amazing, because I think there's like a real desire to like among the Catholic students, I would say.
Yeah, is it more so Catholic students you're interacting with, or are you actually finding that you're able to branch out more?
Oh, both, for sure. So like, because it is a new campus, outreach is a really big part of what we do. I mean, on any campus, outreach is a big part of what we do. So at the start of the semester, like for us, we were kind of in a certain way like starting from scratch, just because like while there was things in like groups in place and stuff like that, they didn't know us. Like anyone who was involved in the chaplaincy or whatever didn't know us. And obviously they might not just be like, oh yeah, pop on in, you know. We're like if you're a random person, so we had to like meet everyone from the get-go. There were some people who were already like would have gone to chaplaincy events and stuff like that, and would have been involved in that way. So obviously they were a little more like open and receptive to us, just because they were like excited for there to be Catholic events and like more like Bible studies and things like that going on. So they were like pretty enthusiastic to be involved. But then also we did like a lot of outreach, and just were mostly alongside the chaplaincy. The chaplaincy team there were like amazing. They really welcomed us in, and like and they have been just so good to us, I would say, and just like made a lot of space for us to have like a really great space in Cork, I would say. And so we did a lot of outreach, meeting a lot of just students. We kind of do like tea and coffee stands and stuff like that with the chaplaincy. We played a lot of cards. That was like an approach that we took, because it like is a good way to get like into a longer conversation with people, because like if you're sitting there. But it was really good, and we've met some really amazing people. Not all of them, like some of them coming from a faith background, some of them coming from a lapsed background, some of them coming from like no faith at all, which has been really, really cool. And very special to kind of like accompany people like wherever they're at. Like a big part, I think, of the mission of Focus is like entering into people's lives wherever they are, and not just expecting everyone to be like a cookie cutter Catholic, but just giving people the opportunity to have an encounter with God and to answer any questions they might have, get to know them, like first and foremost like be a friend to them, and then like propose questions of faith and things like that, and find out where they're at, and all those kind of things.
When you were in college, you were still pretty involved with Focus in the sense that like you ran your own Bible studies, and so like you, in a sense, you were doing a lot of the things that you are doing currently as a Focus missionary, but obviously that's different to what you were doing last year. What's been the biggest difference? What's been the biggest change?
I think one of the things that I have really loved is just having more time for this. Because, because obviously like like some of what we're doing, like I was very, as you say, I was very involved with the missionaries and like would have done a lot of the things that I'm now doing.
Yeah.
But it was always alongside my studies, and obviously like my studies in a certain sense, like I was there to study it, you know, I had to strive to do well, and I had goals that I wanted to achieve and things like that.
Yeah.
And
so you don't really want to do it if it's like you're gonna not do it well.
Exactly.
Either.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing, because we've such a, as college students, you have such an activity heavy week that like going to a Bible study itself is sometimes difficult, let alone running your own one and setting aside time to prep that and to so that can be tough.
Yeah. And I loved it, and I really like loved being able to do that as a student, but it definitely was like much more of like it's a balancing act, I would say, and sometimes like you're trying to figure out where like the line is between like, am I giving enough time to my studies, and like am I giving enough time to these things that are so important of like sharing our faith. For sure.
Cool. And then you're going to Seek.
Yes.
Again. Is there a big crowd going from Cork?
Yes, there's like 12 students. Our group is about 20 people or so, which is
from
really,
Cork?
Yeah, including 12 students from
Wow.
Cork.
Okay, that's really good.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Okay.
So yeah, that was amazing, because again, Seek, if anyone doesn't know, is this big, maybe you've talked about it on the show, but like it's
maybe briefly,
yeah, it's like Focus has this massive conference in the US every single year, and like something like 17 to 20,000 people come to this big conference center, and there's amazing speakers, there's mass every day, there's time for prayer. It's just like an amazing experience, and I'm really excited to go back. And I went twice as a student, once with Dion last year, and so it's really exciting. We didn't know how many people would want to come, but it's gone down well, and there's a great group going. So we're excited.
I think there's a big enough group going from UCD as well. And one of the coolest things I've seen this year, I'm not going personally, but is that the people that are going, I wasn't expecting some of them to say yes as well, which is really, really cool. And it's not even like they've had time to think about it, and there's like time to like, there has been time to spare since they bought their tickets. Like, no, they bought their ticket like last week.
I know.
Which is really, really cool.
It's so cool. Yeah, it was crazy. It was the same in Cork. There was a couple of people who like, we met them, and like the next day they had signed up for Seek because they just wanted to go. And like some of them were people like that you might expect, or like that you might, but some of the people who are coming are like people who are just like searching, and they're just curious. And it's really cool to have the combination of both, I would say.
I remember you saying last year that you said that our like batch of first years were like really enthusiastic about like all the different things happening around the chaplaincy. That's 100% happening again this year. Like, people are so many people, exactly what you said, like the day they met the missionaries and the day they found out about Seek, the next day they were like, I'm 100% gonna go.
That's so good.
Which is I really wanted that for the first years this year, and it has been the case. So I'm really happy that that's happened.
I remember you talking about that, like being like, I really hope that like the first years that are coming in will be like how you guys were, because it was just amazing. Like, there was just so much enthusiasm, and like now you guys are second years, and I still see that. Like, obviously I'm not there, but like hearing stories from you, or like our other friends who are like in in your year, it's just so cool, and I'm so glad that's continued. It's like, that's how we go from strength to strength.
What's been the hardest part so far? The hardest part.
The hardest part. That's a great question. A couple of people have asked me this. I think like the hardest part is just like feeling like you don't have enough hours in the day. Of like, there is so much to do, and so many people to meet, and so many people to know, and so many conversations you could be having, and like just having this sense of like, and it's not on me, and like that's really important to like keep bear in mind. And it's always like I'm always reminded of that like ultimately like it's just allowing God to work and trying to like work, like follow his will, I guess, in a sense. But just like wanting there to be more time, and wanting there to be like.
Was that a surprise to you, actually? Because from my eyes, when I think of what a focus missionary does, I think of they run a Bible study once a day, they pray a holy hour and go to mass. I'm like, they surely have a lot of free time during the day.
There's so much, but the thing is that like our ministry is very relational. So much of what we're doing is like you're meeting with people for coffee. There's also so much admin stuff that like you just don't
I was gonna
see,
say
like I like was not really. I was like kind of aware of it just from being very close to the missionaries, but like just like the things that like need to be done and like keep going on an ongoing basis. Not that there's like loads and loads, but there's just like it adds up over a while if you don't keep on top of it. And then just like all the like planning and stuff that goes in as well, of like planning for Seek and planning for like even just planning each week and making sure that we're living it well. And then like going to chaplaincy events and like working alongside them and then doing outreach and all this stuff. Like it adds up. Like the days just get away from me. Like they're just like there's so much going on every day, or like you're having students over for dinner, or you're organizing an outreach event, or like whatever it might be. And I know I totally get that, because I feel like from the outside perspective it's like I don't even know what they're doing half the time.
No,
but it definitely was like realizing of like, oh my goodness, like there's so much I could be doing, and there's only so many hours in the day, which is great. Cool. It's great that there's like, in one sense that's a good problem to have. But
cool. There's I don't know if you saw it, but Focus had posted on their Instagram page a couple of months ago. It was like a Focus starter pack.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like I think one of them was like the WhatsApp logo with like 500 messages on it. It was that. There was like a zip-up Bible. And then
I literally have one in my bag.
Really?
Literally, we all have the same one. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this. There's so many of them.
There's definitely a Focus like aesthetic. That just every missionary seems to have.
I don't know how that happens, but
I don't know. I don't know what it's derived from either. It's just everyone just does it.
I don't know. No one ever gave me instructions for this is how to do this. This is the Bible you have to have. I had that Bible before I was a Focus missionary. I'll say that.
So it was always meant to be. But I remember as well, you were, when I would like ask you what your plans were for next year, and you would just be so reluctant to say. And then I think at one point I just said, "Do you want to be a missionary?" And you were like, "I don't know." I don't want to tell you.
It was quite funny.
But I honestly think I think I kind of knew fairly early on that you were gonna apply.
You were one of the people I did tell. I don't remember when I told you, but I know that I told you pretty soon after I'd accepted. But I feel like you were like, obviously.
Oh, exactly. Because honestly, like, I don't know if I necessarily saw it happen, but I presume it happened a lot where people would come up to you and be like, "Oh, you're one of those missionaries," while you were still a student.
It did happen. People thought that I was a missionary while I was still a student, which is kind of funny. And I was still like, it was kind of funny how many people who, like, when I did become a missionary, I was like giving them big news. And you, in fairness, you were very enthusiastic. You were so like, yeah, that's amazing, whatever. But obviously, there's a couple of people I told who, like, literally were like, yeah, like, that's not news. Like, that's big news. And I was like, okay, it was actually a really big deal to me. But no, it was so funny though. But like, in a certain sense, that's like a really big compliment as well. So people are like,
I was gonna say
it was not like, it was more just funny than anything else. One of our friends, Oscar, was one of those.
Oh, poor guy. But to be honest, that's kind of his reaction to most things. I feel so. It's not. You're not.
Gotta love him, honestly.
Gotta love him. I was just gonna ask, has there been a highlight so far from Cork?
There are so many highlights. Like, it's actually so hard. All right, we had a really big Christmas party, and that was like a really big highlight. It just like, because at the start of the year we had like a barbecue, and we invited a bunch of people we didn't know, and it was amazing. And like, it was a big outreach event, and we just like didn't know anyone really, like, except for a couple of people, like handful of people we'd met. It was like this amazing event. And then at the end of the semester we had this Christmas party, and it was so nice having another like big event. It was like, and knowing the people there, and like being able to like invite friends and like all these people that we've come to know, and have this like great outreach event that wasn't even really an outreach event at that point. It was like a building up the community event. I would also just say my Bible study was like such a highlight, because they're just really amazing women, and like ultimately like like at the heart of what I want to do is like really accompany people and be able to like help them in their faith journey and help them to like grow closer to our Lord.
Okay.
And I think scripture is such a key part of that. And just like being able to like come to know these women much better and give them that opportunity. And also learn and grow myself within that as well. Because it's never, when you're doing a Bible study, it's never like you're like the teacher and they're the students. Like that's not the dynamic at all. It's really just like you're all in it together and you're all trying to grow closer together. And so it was really special because I didn't know any of them at the start of the year and they've all become really dear friends. So that was really cool.
That's class. Yeah, I feel like that's the same thing as well with a lot of Bible studies, and you can see it because a lot of times people tend to repeat them as well sometimes, just because there's new people in and or whatever the circumstances are, but it's never the same each time, and that's a big reason why. It's because like it's not just the one person teaching the same thing over and over again. The questions might be the same, but you're getting a different perspective on it from everyone who's a part of it. That's definitely been my experience with it as well. I haven't done the same, but like they've been the exact same people every single time, and it's been amazing. He's giving me the time signal. We were having fun. It flew by. Thomas, I don't know if you saw it, but in the middle of that, I don't know what I asked you, but I asked you something. You were talking, and Thomas came in with his burrito and just kind of stood at the window and started smiling at me. I'm like,
that is so funny.
Yeah. But thank you for coming on.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
great to be back, honestly.
Yeah. You're welcome anytime to come on. Now you're on. This is your third time on.
Yeah, on Encounter.
I think you're joint. Yeah, you're joint top for most appearances on Encounter.
That's so true. Yeah, and part of the reason why I had to come on every time was to get back on par with that person.
Who shall remain nameless. Well, I mean, if people want, they can probably figure it out.
They can figure it out. Look at the thumbnails, you'll figure it out. But I literally texted Dion and I was like, hey, what's this?
It was just possible.
Yeah.
But if you want to come on the show and share your own testimony, you can actually, can I let you do the contact details? Do you remember it?
You can text or WhatsApp 089 467 2000.
You got it.
Or you can call 01 412 3456.
Not quite.
Not quite.
014 123 3456.
What did I say?
Maybe you did say it right. Maybe I'm just okay.
I think that's what I said. If I didn't, listen to Dion.
Okay. Okay. And then you can email us at info@radiomaria.ie to come on. So, for myself and Eva, until next Saturday, have a very, very Merry Christmas. And God bless.
Yes.